Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for joining me. And it's one of those sudden, live streams which I wasn't thinking about. But I'm lying in bed and chilling out. Had a great time with the family last night with my sister and her family with mum and dad. And then so I was just chilling and watching YouTube and anime and stuff. And I saw this WDWpro video, and they really do really amazing research. And one of the things, of course, is one is with the film industry, especially with Walt Disney and stuff, right? And so I was watching it. I was going, seriously, is this how bad this whole thing is? It's like, how is this how, why do people still support this company if this is how bad it is? If this is what they've been involved in, when they're actually breaking constitutional law, where they're actually and they're basically racists, right? It's like they use everything they can to get people to, buy their product, and then also, there's no merit-based thing. It's like, if you're a certain color, you're in. Here's a door. Just, I don't care how much, what your qualities are, what your education levels, like what your experiences are. Come in. Like when they got rid of Lasseter, right? And you look at the whole animation things that they put up with Disney, how many failures they've had in the last year or so, even last 2 years, right? Toy Story being one of the biggest friggin' money makers for them, and that just died, right? And but most recently Wish. But the other thing is, like, for me, like, I come from a mixed family, right? My dad's white, right? The only dad I have, right? Currently, for 40 odd years, I'm 50. He's white. My mom's Indian. I have a mixed race family. My first girlfriend was Taiwanese, right? And so we have a very, very eclectic, family, and we kind of like enjoy each other's, whatever we bring to it and whatever everybody brings to us. We're like, the most open family that I can think of, because of, of the experiences we've had, and the people that I've hung out with for my last 40 odd years. Like when I moved to Auckland when I was only 17, I think I was 16 going on 17, and I was around island people, right? And that's when I met my girlfriend, who was Taiwanese, and we were together for about 2 years. So whenever somebody says, just you should get a pass because you're a certain race, I just go, oh, please stop that already, because that's just racism, right? Why should we close the door to anybody, right? It's like if somebody said to me, dude, you can't come into this, can't come and work here because you're Indian. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what does my experiences say? Oh, well, you can do this job. It's like, well, isn't that what it should be based on? Do I show up to work on time? Am I working hard? Or should I just not be given the chance because, hey, I'm not white, or if I'm not Asian or something like that? And this is what always gets my goat up, right? Like people say, what's your chip on the block? I mean, on your shoulder, right? It's this thing. Because I've faced it, growing up, little bits of here and there. But I know when it's real and when it's not. You can always sense it in your soul, right? In your heart, when you have that little thing go, yeah, wait, that just didn't seem right. So when I was watching this, I just thought, how much more do we let Disney get out there and promote themselves as this very family loving, company, multinational? And that's the thing about this, why this really annoys the hell out of me, is because it is multinational. It's global, right? There's not one person around the world, a country, that hasn't heard about Walt Disney or Mickey Mouse, right? Or Star Wars now, right? And all that stuff, and everything else that's got to do with the MCU. So for what they've been doing, that goes out to everybody around the world. It's like forcing people to believe in a certain way through media, and that's something I don't like. And I've also mentioned about writing comic books. I check myself every time I feel like, hey, there's something political going into into what I'm writing. It's like, okay, no, we're not going to go there. What do the characters say? So let's have a look at this video, right? This is really in depth. They do a really good job. So please give them a like, a subscription, because it's worth it. These guys are amazing. And I'll also grab the link so you guys can check it out later, because I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop and give my commentary and play it and so on. But I'll, I'd like you guys to check it out without my commentary as well. So let's have a look.
Channel understood the full depravity of the...
Okay,
Not even we here on the WDWpro channel understood the full depravity of the government that once controlled Disney and which simultaneously was controlled by Disney itself. We're talking about the Reedy Creek Improvement District, the special district that controlled Walt Disney World, and we have subsequently found out Disney World controlled it. But we did not know the full sin that was on full display there in that special district. Well, what are we talking about? Well, folks, I'm here to tell you that according to the independent audit, as well as to the new SIFTOD's declarations out of Florida, that special district, controlled by Disney, seems to have been hiring and maintaining vendors worth millions of dollars, one would presume, based on race.
Right. So the introduction is, so there's it's supposed to be like a kind of like a state within the state, right? So there's a township which they were supposed to do so much with, and they didn't do it. But the thing was that a controlling body over it was doing whatever they wanted. They were making laws unto themselves. It's like, hey, this is our little country. You can't tell us what to do. And they were like, you know, like if you wanted to go and be a vendor, like a business in that area, like sell product, you had to be a certain race or you didn't get it. So if you're a white dude, sorry, if you're a white business owner, no, sorry. Right, you can't get first dibs in this, right? Oh, and so what would happen was like somebody else would go and get the job, right? LGBTQ, you know, other races, and as long as they're non-white, right? And so they could mark up their prices, no competition. And so us, say like, you know, anybody going to this area to buy stuff, they could get ripped off because whoever got in there was given, you know, preferences, or they could mark up their price, and because nobody else was going to compete against them, right? That's one of the things, like businesses, you know, it's a good thing to have competition because that allows the best price. But that doesn't mean that you should have three same business in the same area, because what that happens is that it basically ends up all those businesses going out of going out of business because nobody can survive and that sort of thing. That happened with me. You know, I opened up a comic shop, another thing I opened up pop culture thing, and another thing I opened up, and then I was like, I can't survive in this sort of economy. I shut down. Next thing you know, shop number 2 shut down, shop number 3 shut down. So there was no shop because nobody, you know, because I was the one who was pulling all these, all these people in because I had a wider variety of, you know, a better offering as such because I was the first one in and because I did my research. So let's continue with this.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the WDWpro channel, where we believe in merit, we believe in meritocracy, and we believe in you, and we believe that you're the kind of person who can reach their potential. But you cannot reach your full potential unless you believe in the merit that you have.
Right.
And merit is something that you can go out there and achieve, and that gets you closer to your potential.
Right.
And I have a feeling that will make you feel better and better, but that is not something that Disney apparently believes in. And that's amazing coming from a company which needs to thrive and survive in a capitalist society. Surely the Walt Disney Company believes in meritocracy.
See, when people talk about capitalism, right, they always, you know, they talk about, like, when they say that it's capitalism bad, because they see companies like this, right, that abuse the system and stuff. I mean, for me, capitalism is good. I believe in capitalism because it allows, you know, the best success as a creative person. You know, because I believe that if I'm left alone to be creative, I can create so many awesome things. And I think because I can, like, you know, compete against other people as well. That means I'm not held back from creating what I want to create, offering what I want to offer. Like, you go over to some places where, like, okay, let's just say China, right? It's communism, right? And it doesn't matter wherever it is, North Korea, whatever. If, say, the government's saying these are the rules, you can't, you know, you have to stay behind. It's like religion, right? Religion says you can't do the sort of, you know, storylines, or you can't have this sort of thing. That's basically controlling you to not be able to do that. That's why I feel like capitalism is the best thing, because it allows me to compete against everybody with my stories, with my creativity and stuff. And that's why, you know, I'm a promoter of capitalism, because it allows everybody to compete for the same pile, right? To offer whatever goods we have in the same marketplace. Nobody's holding us back. And this is why I hate this thing with Walt Disney, because you're holding somebody back from competing for that same pot of money or pot of gold.
And yet when it came to hiring vendors through a government that was captured by the Walt Disney Company in Central Florida, they apparently didn't believe in merit. They believed in hiring based on racial quotas, and that is bizarre. It's also probably unconstitutional. It may open the Disney Company up to even more legal problems than what they have faced thus far. And we
imagine like you're going for the job, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like this is these are businesses going to apply for contract to be there for a year or 2 years to offer their product, their goods and services in this area that is run by the Reedy Creek, which is part of Disneyland. And you're not allowed to because you're a certain race, right? And it's like we're supposed to be at a place where you're judged by the merit of your character, right? And basically what you're qualified for, what your experiences are. But that's all dismissed because of your race. And that's disgusting.
We are here with an expert panel to talk about it all. Let's dive into the conversation right now. We're going to talk about Siftod. And again, folks, it's right before Christmas, and yet here we are doing the spicy and not much of the sweet kind of stuff. But back when we discovered that the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District was abolishing DEI, we're talking about the government that rules Disney, and we did not know fully how much Disney ruled it. Back when we found out they were doing this, we thought that this was more of not propaganda, not public relations, not politicking, but it felt a little bit of showmanship. And what we're discovering now is that no, when Siftod put out this statement about how they were going to handle DEI and contracting for the Walt Disney World Resort, we found out that there was actually something going on behind the scenes that was far more sinister and perhaps unconstitutional. And as we've been going through the audit of everything at Disney World, this really has stood out to us. I want to read just the first 3 paragraphs of this, and then I'm going to show everybody what the auditors found. For those of you out there who are wondering, what is the big vulnerability that Disney faces? Gosh, how could this not be at least in the top 5?
Imagine, like all the people, like, I mean, I'm sure there's about thousands of hundreds, at least hundreds of these businesses who are told, no, you're the wrong color. Of course, they wouldn't be told you're the wrong color, right? They'd be like, oh, sorry, you don't qualify. But then you find out, like, hey, who else didn't qualify? And I reckon there'll be hundreds that didn't qualify, or because they were maybe straight, maybe, and this is the thing, right? It's DEI is basically excluding everybody except for straight people and white people, right? So it's basically racism and sex-based, biology-based race, whatever they call it, right? So anything like that, that's why I'm anti-DEI, right? Because whenever you exclude anybody, you just twist it. So what if you're Asian, right? Or what if you're lesbian and you're not allowed to work in a business place that's supposed to be open for everybody? Like, say you go to Disneyland, you go, sorry, you're applying for that. Or what, you're lesbian? Sorry, we don't allow lesbians here, right? Or gay people. And you go, oh, that's wrong. You can't. Then how come it's wrong to not have straight people, right? Or to say no to straight people, or to white people. This is why I get so aggro about this thing, because it should be upsetting. Because this is a global, multinational company. These guys are in communist China, right? And stuff like that, which basically, by the way, Disneyland in China is dying. There's hardly anybody going to it right now. I was watching a video the other day where the streets were just empty. This businesses were all shuttered down. The guy was walking around with the thing going, this is middle of the day. There's like, I think it was like 10 o'clock or something. It's like, there's nobody here, So yeah, this is sort of whatever they're doing, like they lost $1 billion, right? So whatever they're doing, people are talking with their money and saying, sorry, yeah, we don't like what you're doing. But this one is even worse because they had an investigation. They found they were doing racist things, right?
The company faces. Here we go. Central Florida Tourism Oversight District abolishes DEI board and race-based contracting. This was from Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Today, District Administrator Glenton Gilzine announced the abolition of all DEI programs at the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. The announcement comes after Reedy Creek Improvement District implemented hiring and contracting programs that discriminated against Americans based on gender and race, costing taxpayers millions of dollars. The announcement comes after an internal investigation into district policies. The district's DEI committee will be dissolved and any DEI job duties will be eliminated. Siftod staff will no longer be permitted to use any staff time to pursue DEI initiatives. And what all this comes down to is apparently SIFTOD, the government, again, the government, which was controlled by Disney, had gone back to olden days we'd all like to forget, where they were actually taking into account the color of your skin in terms of who they were going to hire. But it gets worse. Ladies and gentlemen, please open your textbooks to the SIFTOD independent audit, and you are going to need to go to page 10, page 10, or excuse me, page 18 of the PDF. 10 down here at the bottom confused me, but this is indeed page 18 when you consider all of the indexes at the beginning. The RCID also failed to adopt the best practices that would be expected for a Florida local government. The RCID had inadequate procurement policies that did not ensure the district obtained the best price or highest quality goods and services for its contracts. Instead, the district engaged in race-conscious DEI programs that discriminated against contractors on the basis of race. Now, this is amazing to me because what we find out, and we're not going to spend an hour to break all of this down, but what we find out is that the government that Disney controlled, they were creating a system by which if you wanted to be a vendor for their massive government, you had to follow their DEI race-based quotas. And if you didn't, you were not just removed from their program, but perhaps removed permanently or at least for years.
So next thing you go for a job, and next thing you know, you're on a blacklist, right? And it's kind of feels really weird. Like we see that happening with the comic industry. We see that happening with the animation and gaming industry as well. Oh, you pull somebody's hair. Oh, there was ingest. Oh no, that was harassment. And next thing you know, in court. All right. And I'm going to play later on. I'm going to react to not react, but I'm going to look at another thing, and it's got to do with anime because, as you know, I'm a huge anime fan. right? And not a day goes by that I'm not watching anime, because it's just my downtime, right? Something for just for me to chill out at. So I'm going to look at that video next. But you know, the idea that like you're qualified for the job, you're providing a service, but because you're wrong race and wrong sexuality, whatever, or whatever it is, that you're disqualified. But no, not for one time, not from that project, but for every other project, right? And that kind of sucks.